At a company the size of Revolut, designers are just executing leadership vision. So this one, I would like to know your answer first.
Yeah, so I think it's a mix. It's not that we execute leadership's vision, but leadership is there for a reason. So they tend to know better than a lot of people.
Yeah, something.
But if you do know your arguments and if you want to make a different point and you want to push through your ideas, Revolut is a place where leadership always listen to everyone at Revolut.
I agree. And for me, I would say leadership is there to guide people and to point them in the right direction, steer the ship a little bit. But at the same time, we look for people that are going to bring their own ideas, that are going to challenge. And I would say it's even like one of the key things you need to succeed at Revolut. Like you cannot just be a pixel pusher that listens to people. You need to bring your own fire.
Yeah. Moving fast means you have to sacrifice visual polish.
Nope. I recently got this question asking an interview where they were like, which one do you prefer, quality or like fast? And I was like, both. I think the main thing is that we have design systems that are allow us to get the base kind of like right away and in an easy, fast way. And then when it's due, then you kind of like bring that extra level of wow factor to your flows. And that's where designers can invest a little bit more time in that craft. But I think it basically gets resolved by having that very solid design system that lets you operate really fast, that it's already proven to have like a certain level of quality.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think if we had to reinvent everything from scratch every week, yes, you'd
No.
have to compromise probably one of them. But thanks to design systems, it's a matter of like dragging and dropping to get to a good starting point, right? And then you can spend that time polishing to make sure the experience is great.
Flawless.
Yeah.
You need a background in banking or finance to design at Revolut.
If you did, you'd probably still be like sending documents for our customers to sign, taking 3 to 5 business days for every transaction. And I think Revolut started as a challenge to this traditional banking that we had before. So I don't think you need it. I think sometimes it can even impact your willingness to learn more about the ways of doing things at Revolut. So I think while it can be helpful, you need to be ready to sort of come in with a mindset of I need to challenge everything that I know, and I need to ask all the questions that I think might be below me. And I think it's helpful, but it's not necessary for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think having a background in finance can be helpful to understand maybe some of the constraints you're dealing with and some of the teams you have to talk to, like compliance and legal. But at the same time, like product designers should be great problem solvers, and doesn't matter if you're solving financial problems or you're solving a delivery app or whatever it is, like an e-commerce. Like the goal is the same, right? And it's just having the expertise in something can be sometimes an advantage point, sometimes like you said a disadvantage because you already have like all these biases maybe. But yeah, it can help in some cases. At the same time, I think product designers just should be great problem solvers and great at their craft and be able to create great experiences regardless if it's finance or if it's medicine or if it's any other field.
Yeah, and sometimes like some of the more disruptive ideas also come from
People
outside,
that don't know
right?
anything.
Like people that don't know anything that ask those
True.
questions, that just come up with the crazy ideas that no one has thought of because they never considered them in the environment of finance, right? So
Agree.
Yeah. Designers shouldn't have to care about business metrics or KPIs.
No, I disagree. I think it's a balance. I think you need to understand. I think this is a very important part. You need to understand the business metrics and the KPIs, but you also, our job as a designers is like how do we take that into consideration and at the same time create an amazing experience for our customers, right? And like how do we listen to them and listen to the business, listen to the customers, and marry that into like a wonderful experience that benefits both. At the end of the day, though, we are a business. We obviously are striving for some company goals that we want to achieve all collectively, and designers are part of that mission. But yeah, we cannot forget about the customers. We need to understand what they need and not just push for KPIs. Otherwise, you'll end up probably creating some negative or dark pattern sort of like experiences for our customers, and that's not what we want to give.
And I think I want to emphasize what you mentioned about understanding, right? I think yes, you can design without understanding business metrics or KPIs. But I think if you want to move up the ladder, if you want to progress, if you want to be in those conversations with stakeholders, you really need to understand what those metrics are, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a room where you don't understand a single word, you don't understand how that impacts your customer experience, and ultimately how you design your products. So I think it's important to understand them. I think you can get away without following them too much, but not for too long, I would
Yes,
say.
I agree. Not for too long. So AI is going to replace product designers.
Of course, it's already happening.
It's already happening. Tell me how.
No, it's not. It's not. So I think AI is a tool at the end of the day, right? I think obviously it's going to help us get rid of the more mundane and the more like tedious tasks that we have to do on a daily basis, like rearrange certain things, change a lot of text layers at once, a lot of those mundane things that would used to take us a lot of time
Yeah.
and wouldn't require of our skill really to do it. Like anyone could do it, so to speak. That's where AI is going to come in very helpful. Obviously, like we don't know, in 2 months it's going to be maybe a lot different, and all of a sudden we're
2
gonna
months you'll be like, yes, they're gonna
struggling.
yeah.
But no, I think it's a tool at the end of the day. It's going to help us blur the responsibilities between different teams within the product spectrum. But I think no, it's not replacing designers anytime soon.
Yeah, so for me, I think it will replace the role of a designer, like as we know it today. So the role as a product designer as we know it, like it'll be enhanced. I don't really know yet how. Like I think it's like you mentioned, like merging maybe different functions, because one person will be able to like just get a little bit more scope and like do a lot more because all these little tasks kind of like disappear. So I do think it's gonna make us evolve into a different way of working. Um, Definitely will enhance us in many ways. We'll have like all these tools available to maybe achieve skills that we didn't have or we weren't particularly super great at. Like now maybe we can like kind of enhance our superpowers and bring AI to kind of give us a push. But yeah, I think the role will evolve. The role will probably be very different a couple years, so you can kind of claim that it will replace it. But I think it will replace it with something great.
A designer's job ends when the Figma file is handed over to engineering.
No, the Figma file. When the Figma file is handed over to engineering, I would say you're probably maximum midway. So the job of a designer is to create a great experience for our customers, right? So like the product, your real job ends when the customer is using it, loving it, and having a wonderful experience. And for it to happen, you go from Figma to reality, where engineering is in the middle, right? So your responsibility is to see it through and push it through all the way to people's homes or phones or laptops, whatever it is. And that requires you to work super closely with engineering to make sure that everything is as you designed it. And yeah, and for me, it's like a bit of a marriage. Like you have to be there kind of like day to day, back and forth to see it through.
Yeah, I don't think you are a true product designer if you don't care how the product feels at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
Like if you just focus on how a Figma prototype flows and how the animations are looking like pixel perfect in Figma, but then when it comes to implementation that is not realized, then you've failed as a product designer. I think it's very important to be involved all the way through. And I think this is important also as a product designer to make it clear to your product like owners, product managers, like, hey, I'm not just designing things every day. I need to still do the quality check afterwards, right? I need to be involved in the later stages of the product development if I want to do my role properly.
100%. Yeah, agree. Fintech design is just drawing buttons and graphs.
I wish.
I wish.
They make our lives a lot easier, for sure. A lot more boring as well, probably.
Probably.
No, I totally disagree, right? I think first, like finance is not only graphs, right? There's a lot more. There's all the money transfers. There's all the payments that don't necessarily have graphs.
Right.
It's true that graphs play a big part
On our UI.
lives, especially
Yeah.
if you're looking into trading products as well, right? That we have. That's where they become even more relevant into analytics. But there's a lot of other flows that have
Exist.
charts. Yeah.
No, and I would say even particularly at Revolut, like we have a level of complexity that sometimes people don't even get to see, where it's like we don't only design financial products, but we design financial products for multiple parts of the world. So that implies that a designer doesn't really need to just understand credit cards. They need to understand credit cards, and they need to understand how they behave in Mexico versus Singapore versus Europe. So there's infinite amount of use cases and edge cases that you always need to be thinking about. And yeah, it's not just drawing buttons and graphs would be, as you said, much easier and much faster. But no, there's actually a lot of things you have to consider, and always, yeah, keep looking for those edge cases, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and on to the last one. Oh, this one. I like this one. So, user testing always gives you all the answers.
Okay, so no, I don't think user research gives us all the answers. I think it would be a lot easier if it did. But in reality, what we really have is we have so many different cases to consider that, like, user research can be a really good data point to kind of just like guide us or give us like an idea of where our customers' heads are at. But at the end of the day, our job as designers is to bring them an exceptional experience. And if we just listen to what they know, because if you think about it, like, our customers might know of financial products in a certain way that has been very traditional, very unchanged for a long time. And our job is to really innovate on top of that and bring them something they cannot even imagine that they need. So I think it can be helpful. It's another data point that we can take into consideration, but at the end of the day, is just one point that we have to consider into many points to actually bring a wonderful experience to them that they don't even know they need.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of the multiple statements that you could say. User testing always gives you the right answers, or designers are just like drag and dropping components, or designers should just follow business requirements, right? Is all of these buckets put together, right, is what actually allows us to build this sort of intuition that then we can use to build a better product, right? So you need to be aware of what is it that your customers want. You need to be aware of what is it that drives the business. You need to be aware of what are the best tools that will allow you to perform your job, right? Like AI, we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's about putting all of this together that gives you the right answers, or at least gets you as close as you can get. But not a single one will just allow you to build a product on its own, right? So yeah, I think it's always helpful. I think it's always always a clear debate around this one.
Yes, a lot of questions about this one.
But to me, yeah, it's clear that on its own, it's not gonna take you very far. But without it, you're also not gonna go.
You're not gonna have the full picture.
So yeah, I think yeah, that was pretty good.
That was it. That's a wrap.
Yeah, thank you very much.